Maneva na sema PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there osia dem yopo.
Let's talk about the country Ghana and all that has been happening. The Akosombo Dam spillage has ravaged homes and affected tens of thousands of Ghanaians. What do you make of how the situation has been handled, Chairman?
Well, I'm not an engineer, but with the little work I've done as the chairman of the Mines and Energy Committee in Parliament, and also I had the privilege of being the board chairman for Bui Power Authority.
Right.
I want to suggest that there is a need for some investigation to unravel the causes.
Star 103.5 FM.
You needed a committee.
It is not natural.
It is not natural.
No, I don't.
Are you saying that the Akosombo spillage is not natural? I mean, there have been rains, torrential rains, and all of that.
This is the first time that we are spilling Akosombo Dam.
So you think that it's deliberate?
I don't know, maybe negligence or something, but it must be investigated.
We should investigate the spillage.
You see, when you have rivers, the way countries have dealt with flood control and other things is to build these dams.
Right.
So that you can take maximum benefit from the water. Okay. So once the dams have been built, and luckily we have about 3 dams on the same river, so you can use the water here, then after that it becomes a fuel for another dam to be used, then it constitutes fuel for the last one to be used. So it's the management of the water or mismanagement of the water that has created.
But VRA has come out to say it. I mean, they know their job, they informed the people involved. So if you're saying that it should be investigated.
It's not about informing people per se.
Right.
You understand? Look, the way you need to manage the water, if you do your studies, scientific studies very well, and there is available data about climate up to 100 years behind us. That data is available in VRA.
You believe that somebody didn't do their job well?
You are able to, in fact, even forecast periods of flooding, weather cycles, periods of drought, and so on. And to the untrained eye, you can even see these our doomsday things, and it comes almost in a 10-year cycle and so on. So you must know that. And the data you have, coupled with the forecast for this year and in the sub-region, you should be able to plan the water management carefully, and you will not have this type. You will not have to be forced to do spillage at a time at this rate. And Ghana is not the only country. If you go to other areas, Holland and other places, they have mastered the art of, managing the water. Okay, so if you Bui, for instance, you know that the studies have shown that even though Bui has a 400 megawatts capacity, the waterhead is not sufficient to sustain it running fully throughout the year. So you know your estimate, the water level that comes into it, how much you must allow, how many turbines you must open to generate power. And luckily for us, hydro is the cheapest source of power in our generation.
And Chairman, still on the Bui Dam issue, and I want to rope this in. You were once the chairman of the Bui Dam, project and all of that. Before that, MPP was in power. Who was the chairman of that?
President Kufuor was the board chairman of Bui.
President Kufuor, the president, was also at the same time board chairman of Bui Dam.
Yes.
How is that possible?
Oh, an interesting.
So he was reporting to the minister or the. How was it?
I don't know how their reporting relationship looked like, but You know, we passed the BPA agreement in Parliament as a 10 key project agreement. And so, interestingly, the requirement for the president to be the board chairman was they put it in the agreement.
In the agreement?
Parliament to approve. And there was a huge debate about that.
Is that a thing to do, standard practice?
No. It hasn't happened anywhere. I haven't heard it happening anywhere in the world. But the MPP at that time were arguing that Kwame Nkrumah was the board chair for Akosombo, which is not true. But President Kufuor insisted.
Did you have any issue with that, any difficulty with that?
Yeah. Because how can the board reports to the minister and the minister reports to the president? So if the president decides to become the board chair, then who does he report to? You are going to report to your appointee so that your appointee will then report back to you. It was...
So when you became board chairman, were there records to show that President Kufuor, was in there? Yes.
Before I come to that, I like to end the statement I was making about the water management.
Correct.
So if you manage well and you know the water that is coming in, you may wish to run Pong at full blast so that Pong will be generating at its full capacity.
Correct.
Okay. Whilst maybe you are trying to build up water in the Akosombo Dam. Makes sense. If Pong comes down so low and you decide to open Akosombo, then all the flood water will have space to now come through Pong.
So it's about management.
Yes. And so it's the same way. The time you spill, you run buoy full blast, then the water will have some accommodation in the Akosombo Lake and so on. So it's about how to manage. So, and then luckily, when there is a spillage, even in Bagri Dam in Burkina Faso, it takes about 90 days or so to reach Akosombo. So you will know that there is a spillage. If there is heavy rainfall in Burkina Faso, you should know that this heavy rainfall will bring this volume of water. And then there are gauges everywhere at Bui, at Akosombo and at Pong. So every day you measure the lake. You know how it is the level and how it is rising, and you are able to project that at this level of water coming in.
Right. We
should start spilling at this time. Yeah. If they started at the right time in spilling,
wouldn't have gotten to
this time.
We'll come back. I think that you know more about water management.
The water was almost getting over the dam. Where we are now, if they had not spilled it at the rate they are spilling,
right,
the dam could have collapsed.
Wow.
But we shouldn't have waited till we come to this point.
Interesting. We'll go for a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk about the president's statement, made right there. I mean, people have issues with it, but if you listen to the full statement, what do you make of it? And also, we'll talk about Bui Dam and a lot of other issues. But right here on Star FM, our guest is grinning from ear to ear. General Mosquito, the chairman of the NDC, is our guest right here. Yes, Johnson Aseidu Nketia is here. A big thank you to our sponsors. And lots of messages, 135 messages.
Wow.
I wish I could actually go through all of them, but yeah, we're actually going to do our best right here on the show. We're still on the Bui Dam issue, and you had an issue with President Kufuor being the sitting president and still chairing the Bui Dam project. You're saying that it wasn't normal, or it's out of sync, or if you want, tradition for one to do that. Yeah. How so? And that was the first time we're having such an occurrence?
Yes, that I know about, because I can't see a situation where you are chairman
Star 103.5
of a board
FM.
and the board reports to your minister.
Right.
And your minister then reports to you.
To you.
I think it
was out of place.
It was completely out of place.
So when you took over, I mean, yes, as chairman of the Bui Dam, committee or project, what was it you had handing over notes. It was handed over to you. What did you see?
That became a very big subject of controversy. It played out in the media. We didn't find all the documents that we needed.
You didn't?
Yeah.
What happened to
and
them?
There was, we did a press conference to explain.
What happened to the document?
Well, the chief executive could not produce minutes of all the previous meetings, but certain decisions were taken. And there was an occasion where we were being called upon or being advised to review some of the decisions.
Right.
And I wanted to know the basis for the decisions in the first place before you can think about the review. But the documents were not, the minutes, covering.
What do you think happened to them? What happened to those documents?
Well, when we announced it, Fred Owari came to challenge me and said that no, he has all the documents. We were at a radio show like this, and then he was asked to produce them. He said copies were even in his car. He was going for it. He went and never came back.
He didn't come back?
No.
But still on the
that was the truth. And so we're asked to, for instance, the land that had been acquired for the project was found later to be about 3 times in excess of the requirements of the project. And so when we were there, the engineers advised us to reduce it and release the rest of the land. And I said that, well, I need to understand the motive behind that acquisition first.
Right.
For us to judge whether those reasons were no longer valid before we can then take a decision to reduce. And the minutes were not available. So we insisted that then I will not preside over a meeting that will review that decision, because I don't know how that decision
And
was.
you didn't?
And so at that point, I then requested that they should invite the former board chair for him to throw light.
And that was President Kufuor?
Yes. But everybody was scared to write that letter.
But you also, you are on record to have supplied concrete blocks, or if you want, like they say, blocks.
My insistence.
Yes. To buoy down. Did you do that?
No, listen. My insistence for accountability led to that whole hula baloo. It was like corruption trying to fight back.
Did you supply blocks to buoy factory?
I had a small cottage block factory. That certainly, even if it were possible that dams are built with blocks, that small cottage block factory couldn't have supplied those things. But I had a block factory in Banda area, and there were subcontractors working on resettlement houses. And 1 or 2 of them happened to have gone to my block factory to buy blocks.
So not for the buoy down?
No, not at all. And because I was asking questions about the stewardship of the previous management,
right,
they thought that the way to fight back is also to fabricate something and make it look like I was doing something wrong. They were calling it conflict of interest or something.
Exactly.
I said,
point.
okay, I'm available. Take me to court or whatever panel to prove your conflict of interest. They never did, and they decided to play it out like that. But the truth of the matter was that I was asking questions that were inconvenient to the previous board. And again, there was an issue about the quality of some quarry stones that they were using in the construction. And so I insisted that those quarry stones, I suspect, were not of the right quality. So we had to take samples to UST. They were tested, and I was proven right. They insisted that no, I must have influenced the UST assessment So we had to call our consultants, Corner Bellier, from France. They came, took samples, tested them, they brought it, and they realized that what I was saying was right. And
so you were vindicated?
Yeah, so they were forced, because that was my constituency.
Okay.
Okay. So I will not preside over a project which will deliver some shoddy job. Everybody else will go, but I will not change my birthplace. So I was insisting that the right things were done.
And you think that is why you were attacked incessantly?
Yes, yeah, they told me. They told me. They told me that
you were asking a lot of questions.
You sit there, you will see. And so they did all that they did. But eventually, I insisted on the right things, and I got them done. That's why we have the...
Throughout this interview, you've stated and you've reiterated that you're a man of principle.
Sure.
PENDREAM TV now, so far so good. Say open online portal e Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.